Hello everybody, welcome from me, Jack, and from the dastardly Frankie, who is causing me all sorts of issues with this clutch problem. So today I'm going to do another couple of things before completely tearing into it. Well, I've already done one of them. One of them is that I marked 13mm pretty precisely here on this little bit of metal because it's easier to get it perfectly parallel next to the slave. The other ruler I had got in the way, I couldn't get it quite right, and I wanted to make sure I could measure it precisely. And the travel at the slave is 13mm, which is considered fine by Lotus. 13 to 15mm is the travel. So again, it is pointing to the clutch itself, because if it is moving that much, it can't be anything else but something in the clutch. However, before doing that, one last thing which I am going to do, which many have mentioned on Selloc, and by the way, Selloc is a great forum for Lotus owners. I've put the link in the video description, but everyone there has been so helpful, so thank you guys. Anyway, they all said tie back the slave cylinder all the way. So push it all the way back and re-bleed again. So I'm going to do that. I've set up the pressure bleeder. I'm going to do a hole as much of that, 3/4 of that bottle through. I'm going to pump it, do it again. But if that doesn't work, then the next phase is taking the starter motor out, because I should be able to actually see a little bit in there with an endoscope. See if I can see any damage. But really, I'm pretty sure at this stage that something's going on with the clutch. Probably the pressure plate is damaged. I don't know. Anyway, let's get going. I've bled the system again with the piston rod pushed all the way back. I couldn't see any bubbles that came out or if it's made any difference. I've tried the car and it starts and doesn't go into gear, so same old pattern, so nothing there. What I'm going to do next is take out that starter motor, because that should give me some sort of view into the clutch. And I can try and look with an endoscope as well and see if I can see anything in there. I think it has to come out anyway as part of getting the gearbox out, or it would help, so might as well take the starter out as the next thing. Now it should be fairly easy to remove the starter. It's just going to be a question of disconnecting the wiring there. I just disconnected this earlier already. And then there's one bolt below, one bolt above, and two nuts either side. My top bolt was a 17, the bottom one is a 15, and both these nuts are 18, so I'm sure that's been mucked about with before. So I've got the starter out, and unfortunately there isn't really that much to see. I've spun it round in gear, so it's gone all the way round, but I can't really see anything, and there's no room for an endoscope to go in and find out any more, I don't think, although I might still try and put one down there. In the meantime, I've just sort of trying to work out, I think what I'm going to do initially is try and remove the gearbox in situ without even taking the clam off, which I think will be difficult, but ultimately the way I see it is if I can't do it, then I'll take the clam off as well, and if I have to in the end, engine out. Now one of the biggest issues, well, one issue straight off, is that ordinarily you would simply remove the slave bracket, but some genius has glued this slave bracket to the engine. Well, the genius is me. The reason why I did that is because one of the threads on the bolt stripped, and at the time I didn't know you could get the strengthening bracket. So anyway, it's glued in place, so I can take the slave off, and also I can remove, so this is the gearbox support there. Look at it this way round. So this is the gearbox support there where I'm shining the light, and I'm sure that can be removed, hopefully leaving that one in place. But that means taking out these two bolts which are on the other side, and they are pretty difficult to access, especially the one on this side. That's what I'm doing at the moment, just cracking those off to see if I can get them off as they are, because if I find it's just too difficult to get stuff like that, then I'll end up taking it all out and doing it that way. Right, I've done a load of work, and I'm sorry I haven't filmed it all, but it's just been too much hassle. So let me just show you what I've done. So the first things, I am trying to remove the gearbox from below the car without taking the clam out. So it's the fiddliest way, potentially the quickest way, also the most hassle, the most difficult. But anyway, clam is still in place, as you can see. What have I done so far is, first of all, okay, remove the earth strap, which is there. There is also the reverse cable, the reverse signal wire, that's been removed. I've taken the slave off from the bracket, and I'm not going to move it now, but I've just moved it up and rerouted it, so hopefully I don't have to disconnect it from the hydraulics, which means rebleeding, doing all that kind of stuff. I can't take this off. I can separate it from the gearbox mount, but I'm pretty sure this is going to get in the way of me dropping the box, so I'm going to have to look at that at some point and see what to do. On this side, I have removed the wheel arch liner, and then the brake has been removed, it's been added back on. You can see both drive shafts have been taken out. To do that, I did it in two different ways. It's a bit disorganized. In this one, I actually removed the brake, the toe link, and the bottom arm, and then managed to pull it out. On the other side, I did the opposite, and I basically pulled out the top arm instead, and also the toe link. So those are all out now. The drive shafts are out. The plan is, I've drained the gearbox oil as well, which was from a drain hole just there. The gearbox cables have been removed as well. Now the question is, will I be able to, once I undo all the bolts around the gearbox and undo these so that this is loose, in theory, that gearbox, I should be able to wriggle it out. Been a good day's work. I've done, a fair few bits. I had James here, a friend who dropped in to say hello and ended up helping me for a couple of hours, which was really useful, as he knows Elise's as well, so thanks, James. But yeah, so hope that when I get to that clutch, something is obviously wrong with it. So many mistakes already made today. First of all, the sort of gearbox mount that I was naively thinking I could just take the screws out of, I realised actually there's not enough clearance there, and I remember you have to move things around, so that actually has to be lifted up in order to get those side bolts out for there to be enough clearance. That's the first thing. Secondly, so that was a bit naive. Secondly, I've just realised also you do have to remove the bottom sort of engine steady that goes to the sump, which I hadn't yet done, and I need to crack off the exhaust there going to the silencer part, to the last part of the exhaust. And then the other thing is that I had put up the crane, the engine crane, thinking that'd be a really good way to manoeuvre the engine about, but it's not. It's really annoying. It's getting in the way under the car, which means I'm just going to disconnect it for the moment, put it somewhere else, and try to do it with some trolley jacks, because with the engine crane, it's just getting in the way. It's not working. So I'm using two jacks, one under the gearbox, one under the engine, and between the two I've been able to jack it up enough on the gearbox here that it has cleared the bracket, and I've got the second bolt out that was stuck in there. So finally the mounting for the gearbox is out. So now, in theory, literally, I just have to take the bell housing bolts out, and then the gearbox should come out. I don't recommend doing it this way. To be fair, it's been much worse because of this bracket, which is entirely my fault. So what I'm going to do as well as part of this is remove this bracket and probably helicoil this bolt, take the glue out so this can be removed in future, because it makes things easier. Here's the gearbox, and at first signs aren't good, and by mean not good I mean that I can't find anything, can't see anything immediately broken. The clutch fork is fine, the release bearing is fine, it's not melted, all seems to be pretty good. The clutch fork again is absolutely fine, doesn't look like it's bent or anything is broken on it. And then if we go to the clutch itself, I was really hoping to find some of these fingers broken, missing, something disintegrated there, but no, that all looks absolutely fine. No bits fell out, nothing like that either. So I'm going to try and take this pressure plate off and see what could, yeah. Well everybody, this is the face of somebody who has found something that's broken. So when I took the pressure plate off, and the pressure plate does look okay. Oh, here we go, here's another piece inside. Took the pressure plate off and found these bits inside, and they come from, one of them is this spring holder here from that plate, from the clutch. The other ones are external to the springs here. They go inside like this. Anyway, I am absolutely delighted that the clutch is broken. So I don't know what's going on with this, because it was a pretty new clutch, I believe, that the owner before me, Mike, put on. So very odd that it broke up like this. But anyway, at least we know what it is. What a brilliant way to just end this episode. So putting it back in is going to be a bit of a nightmare, but I'm going to sort out that slave cylinder bracket, and so that I can remove it and put it back in when it's in, which should make it easier to put in. Anyway, I am absolutely delighted, everybody. It was the clutch after all. What a coincidence that it happened after I sort of put that brace for the slave cylinder. What a shame that I changed all the hydraulics, but I suppose they're all new now, which is never not a bad thing. But yes, this is what a pain, but yeah, I'm quite pleased actually. Well, I'm really pleased. I'm just absolutely delighted. Thank you everybody. See you for the next episode, when hopefully by the end of it, I've got to put this all back together, which will be fun. But hopefully I will have a running Elise. But this is a happy Jack, and I'm at my happiest usually when I find things that are broken, which is an odd thing, but that is honestly, that is what makes me happy. If I hadn't found anything obviously wrong with the clutch, I would have been really, it would have been a real, well, I would have been really upset.